When I started remixing, I always liked to work on remixes because it boosted my creative juices and it gave me a lot of inspiration. Because working on original really pushes you to create something out of nothing. And I already always experienced that as really difficult because I didn't have a musical background, I didn't know how to play the piano, I didn't know how to play the guitar or even reading notes or whatsoever. I just did everything on my hearing and on my feeling, like how does this sound, does it sound well, or does it feel right, or whatsoever. It's just, I think, experience. That's how I always like to work. So working on a remix gave me some kind of advantage because then you already had like a starting point and you had something to work around with. You already had that marking point on the beginning. So to me it always was a perfect way to start a track. And from then on came the second strong point, as in if you do a remix and your remix gets released, you can lift on the other person's crowd. So if they have like a big fan base, let's say you get, for instance, take me, I did a remix for Jennifer Lopez. Doing the remix is one thing, you know, like creating the product, creating the remix is like number one. That's the first thing that you're gonna need to do. The first thing you're gonna need to deliver on, and it's important, you know. But after that, so let's say your remix gets approved, that's where the second things come in, and that's marketing and building your career and just lifting on other person's fan bases. So in my story, when I did a remix for Jennifer Lopez, I already had like a nice following myself, not that big, but I was doing well. But in comparison to Jennifer Lopez, I was just a rookie, you know, like Jennifer Lopez had millions of followers and I just had like 50,000, which is a lot, of course, but if you compare it with Jennifer Lopez, it's just shit. And doing a remix for Jennifer Lopez and getting released officially as a remix from her, you get a lot of attention. You get a lot of eyeballs who look at you at that moment. So when my track came out, she posted my remix on her Instagram account and tagged me, and my phone just exploded, you know. I just got so many new followers from that, and same happened with me when I did the collaboration with Hardwell. The moment revealed and Hardwell posted about the track, I got so many new followers and I got so many new people who were interested in me and in my music and in my story. And I think that's the second thing you need to think about when you remix. It's not always about the fee that you get or about the opportunity that you get. It's also about building your career as an artist, and it's also about gaining a bigger audience and lifting on someone else's audience. So there's more than remixing than just a fee. There's also a business side on it. And if you think smart, if someone bigger than you approaches you to do a remix, I would always do it, because you can lift on their fan base and you can gain a bigger audience for yourself. You can get a lot of eyeballs towards your side, and that's what you want in the end. The same goes for collaborating, actually. You know, when you collaborate with someone else, you can also lift on their audience. So when you, let's say you do collaboration, so let's say the collaboration between me and Firebeats, I did a collaboration with them, and I also get to lift on their fan base and they get to lift on my fan base. So you help each other growing a bigger audience, and that's a good thing, of course. That's number one. But the second thing is that when you're in the studio and when you're on your own and you hit that creative block and you don't know where to go anymore, it's so easy to have someone next to you who's also really creative but looks at things from a different side and who has a different perspective on the sound that you've been creating or the beats that you've been creating. So it's like a second opinion right there on the spot. You don't need to send it to someone else. You don't need to ask for feedback on anyone else. The person is sitting next to you and he's able to change things directly. And in my opinion, that's like gold, you know, like that's the easiest way to work, because sometimes I worked for like a half hour on the track with someone else sitting next to me, and after that half hour I just said like, okay, I'm done, I don't know how to continue. And he said, what you mean I don't know, you don't know what to continue? I have a great idea. And then he just sit in the chair, finishing continue working on the project, adding a melody, adding a hi-hat or whatsoever. And when he added something in the track, I instantly got triggered as well, because then it was something new for me in the track. It inspired me, it gave me new creative juices, and it got me going again as well. So you're really getting up, you're really pushing the energy in the studio, and you're just taking best of both worlds, and that creates a really great product. So collaborating has a lot of positive things for me. You get to learn a lot of stuff, you can gain a bigger fan base because you can lift on their fan base, and you can push yourself to getting to a higher level because the energy is high in the studio. You really get to push yourself and have like a match going on with the other person who's better, who can do more, and that ends up, you end up having a better product, having a better track. And in my opinion, that's cool about collaborating, you know, that's perfect. When I think about remix and original, my opinion goes to remixing, because like I said, that's the way I always like to work. I like to work in reverse, just so having a vocal and build something around it. And if I started to work on an original, it's really hard for me to create something else. You need to have originals because that's what's going to define you as an artist, and that's what's going to define your sound. It's really important. But doing remixes is just as important and could help you grow faster actually, because you can grow on someone else's audience as well. But I wouldn't recommend only doing remixes. I would also do like a few originals on the side, like, so let's say 2 originals a year, maybe 4 a year, and in between you do a lot of remixes and bootlegs and all those stuff. But originals, in my opinion, are harder to create, and remixes are easier to create and has a lot of more benefits in the end. Unless you have a hit, of course, with your original track, then that's the better benefit. But to me, if I ever look back at my career, remixing and creating bootlegs really lifted my career, and collaborating with other people really lifted my career and really gave me big pushes. My originals never really did that well. My own originals, so if I collaborated, they did well. The collaboration with Hardwell did really well for me, with Firebeats did really well for me, and the one that I did with Kill the Bus like exploded in my career. So the collaborations were like a key moment in my career, and the remixes as well, the big remixes for Jennifer Lopez and Pitbull and those kind of people, it really boosted my career. And the originals were something for me that I just needed to do to just create like a base and to set down my own sound. But I always struggled to create originals, but it could be different to someone else, you know. Some people think it's easier to create an original and they're more creative than me and they're more musically schooled than me. So it could be different for everyone, but for me it always worked that remixes and collaborations were way better for me as a career and way easier to work on than creating originals. If you think about collaborating, you come back to the thing like sharing is multiplying, you know. Like if you share knowledge with each other, and if you share that moment with each other, and all the creative things that you have together, like if you combine all those things in one track, in one product, it's always multiplying, you know. Like when you're in the studio your own, you always hit like that creative block, or you don't know where to go, or you're gonna ask for feedback. And when you're together, it's like 2 different minds with 2 different perspectives and 2 different opinions, and they just add on and add on and add on. And of course you need to delete some things that you really don't like, or that the other person just really don't like, but that's just a discussion in the studio, you know, like what are we gonna do with this? But I think in the end, when you share knowledge and when you share your passion in the studio and your creativity, it will always multiply, and the end product will always be way more better than when you're not doing that, in my opinion. The last thing I really wanted to say to all the people that have been watching this masterclass is that never forget that it's a job, you know, like you need to earn money and it's all about the work. And don't go into complaining mode, and don't go into excuse mode by saying it's about this, or this is the problem, or that's the problem. 90% out of 100 you're the problem, and you don't want to put in the work, or you're too lazy and you want to play Xbox or whatsoever, or watch Netflix. You really need to spend a lot of hours in the studio. You really need to spend a lot of hours behind the decks to get to a next level. It's not easy, you know. If it was easy, don't you think everyone else would do it as well? That's the reason why there's only just a few of those people who get to the highest level in their career, because they put in the work and they've put in the effort to go to that party and to connect with that person at that moment, and to play just that one time for free, and to go to that meeting that he really didn't want to go at that moment. It's really important that you're everywhere as an artist, connect with everyone, put in the work, and then create a beautiful product and a beautiful track, and in the end there will be a moment in time where everything comes together and you will get pushed through, you know. But when that will happen, you will just never know. Like, I could have never imagined that it would have happened in between 5 years. For me, it like ended up taking like 4 to 5 years until I even earned any money about music, in music. So you never know, and it's really hard to stay focused and to keep having that energy to keep on going, you know, because every time you will be let down by something, it's gonna take you down, but it's so hard to get back up and continue, and that's where the key is, you know. Like, all the other people that didn't make it gave up, and it's up to you to continue and start pushing yourself and go to the next level and continue working and go. That's the only thing I want to give to you. Put in time, make sure you're everywhere, and make great music, and that's the only thing you can do.